you don't have the character talk if you don't get him, right? I mean, that's
No,
kind
yeah,
of the way.
then it would be just weird. I mean, we can voice double him, but that would be terrible.
Yeah.
So as long as he's willing to do it, hopefully people will love this game. We'll make another one. Because we do leave.
What's up, guys? Bones from Slasher Radio here, and we have a super exclusive interview with Tim Willits, the Chief Creative Officer at Saber Interactive, and he's giving us a ton of early insight, and the only early insight of the upcoming Hellraiser Revival game, from collaborating with Clive Barker and Doug Bradley, to Hellraiser Revival almost being a multiplayer game, an early look on what we can expect from gameplay, and even the future of Hellraiser Revival. So slash those like and subscribe buttons, and let's get into it. Tim, we are very, very appreciative of your time. Thank you for joining us, and we love having you back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Like I was saying earlier before we started, the last time we talked to you was when the Evil Dead game came out. It's awesome to see true horror fans behind these games that we throw on, because, obviously us as horror fans, we get them, we play them, we look forward to them. And that little bit of extra passion from someone who truly appreciates the genre, like you guys do over at Saber. This is now your another IP game that you're making.
Yes.
What drew you guys to the Hellraiser franchise, and what was the process of the discussions with the license holders? Because this is like, you guys are going to be blurring lines with this game. Like, there's a lot of shit in there. What made you say, okay, let's do Hellraiser?
So we at Saber are all very big Hellraiser fans. I personally am a huge Hellraiser fan. I have a configuration signed by Pinhead himself.
You made me feel like crap about that already. Yeah,
I know.
That's badass.
If I turn my camera around, you can see my Pinhead statue, which I had way before I even started at Saber. So I've always loved the universe, and and there's lots of designers and artists and programmers here at Saber that also love this universe, because it's so unique, it's so different. There's more to it than I think people realize on the surface. It's very deep, it's very complex. It makes really for a wonderful world to play in. And so we made Evil Dead. It was a great asymmetrical multiplayer game. It did really well for us. We made A Quiet Place, which was like the perfectly designed game, because everyone knows exactly what the gameplay is. And yes, and with Hellraiser, we felt that we're working with Boss Team again, who we worked with on Evil Dead, and they're great. And and we felt that this universe is perfect for a solo, personal kind of story journey that you go on, because it's deep, it's complex, it's torturous, it's scary, and it fits with that solo kind of campaign, that solo experience, where it's your personal journey, which is very hallmark of the franchise. And then working with Clive, he had Clive Barker. It's his baby. He invented this. Has been amazing. He has been truly great. He's been very fast, which I know that sounds silly when I say that, but sometimes working with license holders, it takes forever to get feedback. But he's on the spot, and he's looked at drawings. He's given us he's tweaked things for us. He's story ideas. He's told us things about the Cenobites that we had no idea about. Things that I don't think anyone knew about. So it's been great. I mean, it's really been great working with him. We're really excited about this. When we announced it before Gamescom this year, I knew that there were a lot of Hellraiser fans out there, but I didn't know how many. I mean, the response has been crazy. I mean, it's really been crazy. One journalist showed up to play our demo that we had at Gamescom, and him and his wife have matching Hellraiser tattoos. And I was like, you're a fan, you know. So it's fans like that we need to make sure that we get this experience right. And like you said in the question, is that, you know, it's complex. We're doing a lot. You know, it's it's very mature, you know, universe. We're making a very mature, you know, game. But I think that the team has put together a very clever story, you know, with the Cenobites and then other entities in the world, other people with other agendas. And we've created this world where we can, you know, deal with Cenobites on one side, but we also have things that we can kill and shoot on the other side, because, you know, you can't kill a Cenobite. And you know, and we can't make a game where you spend 10 hours running from a Cenobite. So I do think we have a really clever story, and it's been great to work with Clive on setting all that up. Sorry if that was a very wordy answer to your introduction question.
No, absolutely. And I thought you said something interesting in there, Tim, because you mentioned you didn't know how many Hellraiser, because it is a very, very dark and bloody, and that's not for everybody. And it's almost more dangerous because not only obviously Hellraiser's like on the Mount Rushmore, right, of these horror villains, but they have like such a cult following. So it's not even just the volume of fans. I mean, people who love Hellraiser love Hellraiser.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. You know, even you know, one of the factions that is in the video game are cultists, and they are this group that, you know, worship the Cenobites. They're trying to unlock the mysteries of the configurations and to unlock them, and they're almost like Hellraiser fans in themselves. You know, they're almost like the people that are going to buy this game. You know, and but we understand that, and we want to respect the lore. We want to respect the fans. If you look at our other games that other licensed titles, even outside of horror, I think Saber's done a very good job, you know, listening to fans, respecting what fans want, and building the experience that will be most enjoyable for them.
Yeah, and everybody looks at creating an IP game as, you know, you get the benefit of having something that people know about already, but you also have the pressure of getting it right, because you know, obviously all the other things, because, you know, you have deal with license holders, approvals, all that shit. But your real pressure is the fans, you know.
Yes.
And one of the things that I seen kicked around a lot was people wondering, and myself included, what is the exact source material for this game? Because, you know, obviously the franchise is vast, and you also have Hellbound Heart that's involved, and that's the real source of everything. Is this going to span across the franchise, or are you focusing more on the original film?
So that's a great question. You know, no, we don't go to space. I can make that joke because no one minds if I make that joke. I mean, it does not fit between any movies necessarily.
Okay.
It is, but I think, I mean, there is, without giving anything away, there is kind of a transition that's important, you know. So, you know, so like, if you're a fan of the first couple movies, you'll be fine. You know, you'll be like, oh, this is cool. You know, if you're looking for characters that return from this movie or that movie, we don't have that. You know, it is just, you have your Cenobites, you have Pinhead, you have Aiden and Sunny, you know, who are Aiden's the person you play. Sunny is his girlfriend, you know, and Aiden searches for Sunny, who is taken by the Cenobites, and it's his journey through that world, you know, along with her journey. So it's kind of its own story. But if you're a fan of the first handful of movies, you'll feel right at home.
Right.
That makes sense?
Absolutely. It does.
Yes.
And it also, it creates a whole nother question that ties into, I was planning on asking you about, you know, obviously Clive Barker and his influence on the game, but I feel like this is a great time to, and you kind of went into it already, but you're being trusted with kind of creating your own story within their universe. And
yes,
you said you worked heavily and he was heavily involved with that.
Yes.
He's notably super passionate about his I mean, rightfully so, right?
Yes, he is.
What was that process like working with Tim? And I know you got into it a little bit, but now creating a new story, almost a new movie based on this world.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. Yes. So, he was surprisingly easygoing, because so we started out with a story. We started out as video game guys do. We like make prototypes and things, and we were showing him versions of it, and we made it a little too action orientated. Like it was a little too much shooting at first, and he was like, "It's a little too much shooting."
Great to hear, though.
But so we laid out a story, and he was so nice. I cannot give him, more kudos, because we had to invent like these cultists, and then they have almost like these kind of like hellspawn-y creatures, because we need something to shoot. We need something to kill, and
right.
and in the game, the configuration has powers, and you can manipulate the world with it, which is really cool. And some are very violent powers, so you can like kill things with it. So we crafted a story with this kind of other faction and these other creatures that don't really run parallel, but kind of intersect the Cenobites and the configurations and the labyrinths. And he was totally cool with it, because we were like, "Oh, please, sir, like this," because you can't, like, we added cultists, and we added these little demon spawn things, and we are like, "Oh, please, like it." And he understood that it's a video game,
right.
And but he really liked how we kind of wove the story, and he was like, "Okay, this is really cool. Go more like this." Yeah, that's not going to work. Just stop talking about that. And then go this way, and then intersect it like this, and then you'll be happy, or I'll be happy if you do this. And we're like, "Thank you." Because, not to give anything away, but Pinhead, is really, something is cool with Pinhead. And anytime you mess with the star of the man's universe, you got to be careful. So he was he was so great. He literally was so great.
That's so awesome to hear. Because you hear about so many, not to name any names, but you hear about a lot of people who have made really cool shit, and they just, all right, fine, this is how much it costs, and make sure our check's on time. Like you hear about that a lot, and someone who cares this much and is willing to collaborate, because that's what you guys were doing, and create something special together, and it benefits the project. Like it only makes everybody involved better, including the project you're working on.
Yes, yeah. And when people play it, people be like, "Oh, I get it." They'll be like, "Oh, I understand why y'all did this," and "Oh, yeah, that's cool. All right, I can see that." And so yeah. I mean, again, it's a long. Movies are an hour and a half, 2 hours. Our game is 10 hours. To play through or more. So there's lots of stuff that intertwines together.
Okay. We're doing a lot of talking about Clive Barker, and I'm a huge Clive Barker fan, but I am also a giant fan of Doug Bradley. And he was involved in this as well. What was it like?
That's the signature right there.
You got to stop rubbing that in.
Sorry.
But Doug Bradley, obviously a horror icon, and we've seen iterations of the Pinhead character without him, and that's always a thing.
Always a thing. Yeah, that's the very polite thing to say.
Yeah, for better and worse, but you guys, I'm sure it was integral for you to have him be a part of this. What was that process like, working with him, having him involved, and the legitimacy he brings? Like the character is now complete. As long you could screw up so many things, but as long as Doug Bradley's involved, you did it right as far as anyone's concerned.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. I mean, he is Pinhead. I mean, without there's, it's kind of silly to even think about. I mean, again, he again, we work with Boss Team. In Boston, there's a good relationship with Clive, good relationship with Doug. And Doug was so reasonable. Again, it's just crazy. Sometimes you're like, "Oh, don't meet your heroes," but no, like he was so nice and so easy to work with. I mean, again, it is Pinhead doesn't talk that much, I mean,
Right.
he's very distinct and succinct in what he says. But we had a number of sessions with him, voice sessions. We we have a kind of behind the scenes interview with him, which is really cool. But he's so nice. I mean, again, so pleasant and easy, and very accommodating. And you know how video games are. We're like, we always wait to the last minute to like write the lines, and we change things, and and he's like, oh my God, where I'm working with these kids. But yeah, I mean, he was super easy, and I mean, again, you're right. Without Mr. Pinhead himself, people would be like, what are you doing? So
Yeah.
he adds all the legitimacy to the product. I mean, without him, he's like the only one you actually really need. He is the guy. He is the Cenobite.
You don't have the character talk if you don't get him, right? I mean, that's
No,
kind
yeah,
of the way.
that would be just weird. I mean, we could voice double him, but that would be terrible.
Yeah.
So as long as he's willing to do it, hopefully people will love this game. We'll make another one. Because we do leave some stuff hanging a little mystery.
Okay, we'll get a little bit more into that later. But that is awesome. We had the pleasure of having Doug Bradley on the show quite some time ago. He did yell at me, so it's good to hear that he was nice to you. I asked him what was Leatherface versus Leprechaun. It was a running joke on the show, and he was insulted.
That's hilarious.
But he's an awesome. He had fun with it, and it was great. He's an awesome guy. But you guys are moving from Evil Dead and into, I mean, you did it with A Quiet Place too, but moving away from that Asym and into the single player world.
Yes.
What was that transition like? And like, obviously you guys have done this before. You very much know what you're doing, but handling an IP and structuring a game around, that's everything. Single player versus like an Asym multiplayer. They're two completely different worlds, two completely different structures. What was the decision like going, for this single player? And before you answer that, Tim, real quick, I 100% love what you did. Like the Hellraiser franchise deserves a story. So I love what you guys did.
Yes, thank you. It made sense, to do a single player. Like I kind of mentioned at the beginning, it is a journey for Aiden, and going after Sonny, and the choice that he makes. Spoiler alert, there's two endings, he really, it's there. There's a lot of some decisions you have to make. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of sadness and despair that just doesn't. I just don't know if it would work as well in multiplayer. You gotta, because I want people to go through and like take the time to stop and like look at the game and like, ooh, like I gotta do what, and like, ooh, and when you play multiplayer, you always got some, someone that's Leroy Jenkins and stuff, and so it's like it'd be hard, and then you can't have someone play as a Cenobite. That would be kind of weird. I mean, maybe you could make a game like that, but no, it made sense. It made sense to tell a story, to tell a gripping story that people can get into and have a good time and be like, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously when you guys dropped the teaser, which wasn't much. I mean, it was a teaser, sure, but there wasn't much question there. Everybody knew exactly what the hell you guys were doing, and it exploded. And all of our viewers were, because we. In the gaming world, there's that divide, right, between the single player and the multiplayer Asym. What that conversation was being had. Was there anything internal where you guys ever considered an Asym?
No, we did.
Oh, you did?
Like, yeah. Like when we started out, we're like, I mean, multiplayer games sometimes can get more legs, as And so we definitely discussed it. We discussed lots of kind of different ideas and story and gameplay and what would fit. And we just kept coming back to let's have an experience, tell a good story, and get Clive excited, and he was excited, and we could do things that were cool, and so it just worked better, and we just think that. that people will embrace it and be like, yeah, it was a really cool experience. And then, and then they'll be happy.
Absolutely. And that's always been the thing with, excuse me, the Hellraiser franchise, right? Is people get so caught up in the blood and the guts, and they look really cool. I'm a huge fan of that too. But I feel like what it doesn't get enough credit for, at least on a general blanket statement of it, is the story. Because it comes from such an, like the Hellbound Heart is an incredible piece of literature. And
Yes.
that story, especially the original, it's a horror love story. And people don't
Yes.
acknowledge that.
They don't
And
get
this
it.
they don't.
Yes.
And this needed to be single player.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I'd be sitting there playing my ass off if it was multiplayer too. But, if it was any other franchise, I mean, you get Hellraiser, you have to tell a story. And I'm so glad you guys made that decision.
Yes. The moral of the story is do not play with one of these, with your significant other. And if it opens, run. Yes. So it is, it's a love story, it's a bit of a story about loss, it's about a story of, your own kind of discovery. So yeah, it's cool. I think people dig it.
Absolutely. In your PlayStation blog, you wrote an article to kind of accompany the announcement of this game. And you said, and this is a quote from you, that you fully understand the legacy you're stepping into with Hellraiser,
Yep.
what it was like internally with your team trying to live up to such an iconic franchise. And when I seen this announced, and especially when I seen, single player story mode, my first words out were, they need to get this right for Hellraiser. And we kind of got into it a little bit earlier, but then I read your article and I was like, oh, they get it 100%. And
Yes.
obviously it was important for you to mention that. And I'm sure you have your finger on the pulse of the fans, and that's very much important to the fans. Was there any pressure in your studios, and what was that like, going over everything with a fine-tooth comb and acknowledging and fully embracing this challenge of getting something so iconic right?
So you are absolutely correct. The one of the fears, well, it's still a worry of mine, is we get a little wordy, like in the game, because we try to go pretty deep with like what are what are your choices, and what are you sacrificing, and what do you like, how much are you willing to go for desire, and to explain the universe. Hopefully we're not too wordy, because we try to touch on some themes, but the the fact that Clive was cool with it, that's like, there's only one fan. That means, if he's happy, at least if someone sends me a message on the internet, be like, I hate your story, you suck. I'll be like, well, Clive liked it.
No way that'll happen though, right?
It always happens. It always happens. Trust me. Usually the people who love you the most are the ones that get so mad. I hate you. But the fact that that he's kind of embraced it, and like we do some messed up stuff. Like, I just pray to God, we're still working on getting it all rated. But like the last journey that you go through is so symbolically over the top and a little crazy. It's hilarious. I wish I could say it, but when you get in the game, you guys would be like, oh my God, you guys just did that. So
yeah, we'll have you on again sometime down the road once it's all out and we can gush over it. I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you guys
hopefully it will not be an interview about all the stuff we had to remove, so we could legally sell it.
Well, see, look,
I'm joking.
we could talk about that a little bit, because it's funny because you guys did do some shit in here. You are absolutely correct. Even just from the trailer, we could tell. I have a friend of mine. Shout out to my friend Maximum Rick. He was live on Twitch when your trailer dropped, and I was like, oh my God, Rick, did you see the new Hellraiser trailer? He's like, no, I have to stop what I'm doing right now and check it out. So he did, and he thought he was going to get banned. He was worried about it. So now we have a running joke of the Hellraiser incident on his stream. Yes. But
no, the trailer is pretty calm, to be honest.
That's saying something. Okay.
Yes.
But tapping back into your PlayStation blog, you said the Hellraiser universe is defined by its unflinching exploration of pain, pleasure, and the thin and terrifying line that separates the two. That is perfectly worded. The essence is at the heart of our game, and I mean that's Hellraiser in a nutshell, and that's worded perfectly. And you kind of just mentioned it, but what was it like blurring those lines? Because you have to, if you're making a Hellraiser game and you're not pushing limits, you're not making a Hellraiser game, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Some of the conversations that we had is just hilarious. I wish I could say them out loud. It's like, are we really asking this question? Yes. I mean, again, we, there is, somebody tweeted at me or something, or posted some comment that, if it's not adults only, it's not true to the franchise. And I was like, well, that's R-rated movies. But again, you can do so much more when it's interactive. So sitting in your couch and watching a Hellraiser movie is totally different than having to cut yourself free to get out of a chair. You know what I'm saying? It's
right. Totally
different. Watching, that looks scary, is totally different than when having to reach into a body and to remove a part, in the game. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to that looks kind of fetishy. It's a way different thing when you actually have to go and do it. You know what I'm saying? So it really is different than watching movies.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I played Mortuary Assistant for the first time recently, so that's the vibe I get. I'm just flashing back to those moments of oh wait, I'm doing this. Games like that always bring that level of realism to you. I could sit and watch a movie about that all day. You're right, but seeing quote unquote yourself doing it, whole nother level. Absolutely, and it's cool that you're looking at it from that lens.
Yes, and I encourage people to when they play, get into it. Only play at night. Play by yourself. Light some candles. Put your headphones on. Turn the lights off. Get into it. Just have fun. Don't just play it like a jaded gamer. Get into it, and you'll have a better time.
That's a great disclaimer, and I feel like that's something that might be lost nowadays in game, because I mean, even you could think back as far as when Outlast came out, that the first game was...
That's a great example. Yes
Everybody did that. You turned the lights off, you waited till at night, you had a friend, and you immersed yourself into it. And that, I mean, if you're not playing this game that way, absolutely.
I know, if you spend the money, you buy the game, do it right, have fun with it, and I mean, spend some hours, spooking yourself out.
Yeah, full experience, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you keep flashing your amazing Lament configuration box in front of me, Tim. So there it is again. So let's talk about it a little bit, because you guys have something called a Genesis configuration.
Yes. So it's not this one,
right?
But but it is. I mean, we explain it more in the game, and what I told you is, I mentioned earlier, is that as Aiden, you'll be able to manipulate the configuration to manipulate the world. So if you're in the labyrinth, you can move things, and you can channel energy, and then there are objects that you can manipulate, and then you can almost use to attack enemies with it as well. So it's so it's a bit different than this one.
Right. And obviously, without getting into far, that is a great detail that you went into already, but obviously without getting too far into it, we don't want to spoil anything. Everybody needs to go get the game and experience it. Not play it, experience it.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Yeah. But you're creating, like you said, we were talking about even before we started, the Lament configuration is arguably the coolest thing in the horror genre. That's the prop, that's the memorabilia, that's one of the coolest things you can have. It's Jason's machete or something along those lines, and it's so unique to the franchise. There's nothing else like it, and you guys were able to now create your own version of something so iconic.
Yes, but there are multiple configurations.
Right.
in the universe.
Yeah.
You know. Yes. Okay. Good. Yes. So, but yes. Sorry, you are correct. You know, in the movie, everyone's like, "Ooh," you know, that's it.
Yeah.
But the universe allowed that the universe supported that concept.
Absolutely.
So we were able to, you know, with all their permissions to make something unique and then use it for gameplay and stuff. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that must have been a great process too, to be able to kind of, because you have to get it right and close enough to, you know, like those certain things.
Yes.
You also offer, and I have to talk, we talked about this last time, you guys really hate people's bank accounts because those collector's editions are irresistible to not get. I fought it. A friend of mine had gotten it and he kept poking at me about it. I said, you know what? I can't not have this. So the collector's edition for Hellraiser Revival, much like the Evil Dead collector's edition, I mean, you guys load these things with so much. And the Genesis, well, you get a choice between the...
You get a choice. Yes, there's two. Well, actually, there's multiple. There's like collector's edition, then there's the super awesome one that Clive has signed. And then the Doug has some that he's going to sign as well.
Right.
Yes. So that's Boss Team. So like you know, our partnership with Boss Team, and they have great experience with real products, you know, and real, you know, toys and collectibles and comics and statues and things. So yeah, it's been really nice, and that those things sold out like that.
They sure did.
Nuts.
My hesitation that I had I missed out on the Clive Barker. I did get the Doug Bradley though.
Good.
But yeah, they were lightning, and I was sitting on it, and then I said, you know what, I can't not have this. So I went back. I'm like, it's sold out already. Yeah, they went fast.
Yes, and he's gonna sign a lot. Like, I mean, that poor guy. he's gonna feel like he's in his own personal hell. He's gonna sign a lot of those.
That's hilarious. How much of that is kind of tied into, because you guys, well, Boss Team also, I don't know how much, you know, either was involved with it, but you did it for Evil Dead, and it's almost like an event, you know, like you guys have set a standard together with these releases, and it's almost like there's been other games that have come out, you know, in between Hellraiser and Evil Dead, and I look at them as a big horror gaming fan and go, damn, man, there's really not much physical on the bone here to make it super special like you guys and Boss Team make sure to do. How important is that to you guys being able to have that, even if it's, you know, teaming with Boss Team to have that? Yeah,
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, again, it's just, we're lucky to have a great partner, you know, that has been able to because it's hard to inventory and to work with the manufacturers and to get it done in time and get it approved. I mean, this is tough, you know. So the fact that they can do that and they have experience, it's just a win. You know, and I bet other video game companies would love to do more. It's just too hard, you know, and you need experience to get it right, because it can turn into a disaster. I mean, I've had problems with physical goods in the past, and it can be a disaster. So we're just very blessed, you know, to have the right partner, because fans love it, you know, and to work in a franchise that fans would love. I mean, like on the Evil Dead stuff, my Necronomicon is like sitting right over there, which is like, I put that with my collector's comic books. That's how cool that thing is. So, yeah.
Yeah, the art books, I mean, it's just above and beyond. Like I say, you kind of set a standard, because other games are kind of a letdown when they really, I'm not going to lie, and having cool. That experience, yeah. And I'm going to give one more shout out to our friends over at the Slasher Report. He's the one that poked me. And I'm like, all right, you can't own this, and I don't. So I now have to, but like he said, when I bought it, you'll be glad you did it. I mean, the joy that I had opening up the Evil Dead Collector's Edition was, like, I was blown away, and I just cannot.
Cool box. Yeah.
Everything about it, the art book, everything about it was mind blowing. And, I can't wait for this as well as the game, so it's just a win-win all the way around.
Yes.
But one question that I did have, because you said something interesting as far as mentioned there was a lot of shooting and this and that, and we're not going to give too much gameplay away here, but I just wanted to ask you the differences or the decisions made between, like, Evil Dead had a very unique style of gameplay, And what was it like making the decisions to, okay, what are we going to do differently here? And, combat systems, whatever you guys may have. How do you feel about the gameplay that we're going to see in Hellraiser Revival?
Yes. So, that's a good question, because the gameplay, like I said earlier, we had too much shooting, and then Clyde told us that we had too much, and we had to like pull back a little bit.
Right.
The team that is kind of the principal on the project. They have a lot of action experience, so it's just natural. You just kind of put in what you're good at. So we do have some shooting. We do have some stabbing. We do have some configuration manipulation. But we also have some horror type where, oh my god, I got like a stick and I got to kill this dude. So I do think there's a good mix. And then when you're in the labyrinths, the world can crazy and things change, and the world can rotate and turn and twist and shift and stuff. So I do think we have more gameplay variety than you normally would find in a straight horror game. Lots of horror games turn into walking sims. But I do feel that because we kind of are action guys and we had to like pull back, we had to hold ourselves back. That I do think we ultimately ended up with a lot of variety. Like, you do different things, and I think people will appreciate that.
That's awesome to hear, and that's why I was so curious, because knowing the franchise the way I do as a fan, like there's different worlds and different paths everywhere, and it sounds like you guys adapted to that, which is awesome to hear.
Yes, and again, games are longer than movies, so we have to engage players and give them activities and push them forward. So it's just having a great story is important. Having all the nudie bits and the hooks, that is important. But having that gameplay keeps people engaged.
Equally as important, because like you said, a lot of games is just so repeat, and it becomes, like you said, a walking simulator. It's just the same thing over and over again, and that's very interesting, and I can't wait to see what you guys did with that. Mm-hmm. Another question that I had for you, Tim, was we've seen single player games, especially nowadays, like the landscape has changed. Like, you can look back as far as like Nintendo if you want, but even just as far as like PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, even, where single players were a very different type, and they've evolved so much now. And we can look at games like Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3, and they add DLCs and different things, and single player games aren't really just like blow on the cartridges and what you pay for is what you get anymore. Even as far as the rights holders and Clive and everybody, they seem to be all in with you guys and this game. You can point to Pinhead being removed from games like DeadbyDaylight. This seems like it's something that you guys, like you mentioned, a part 2 even, could have legs in the future and not be just a prototypical single player game. Are you looking into adding DLCs to extend the future of it? Part 2 you mentioned already?
Well, I mean, we have to see. We're focusing on making the best game we can. I hope if it's a mega success, I want to, it'd be great to make another one. We just have to see. Same with DLC. We just have to see. But currently the team is just focusing on making the best experience they can, and we just hope that people love it, and it works, and if it resonates, let's keep rocking and rolling. But we just have to get the main game done, and people have to like it.
And that's the keys, absolutely, to anything, really, even movies too. If a movie's not going to make money, you bet your ass, no matter how well they set up the next one, there's not going to be another one if it bombs.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's so interesting too, because we haven't seen an IP game really get a part 2. When you think about it, I mean, you can look to a bunch of games that have gotten another one. IP games typically, off the top of my head, haven't. Where, The Walking Dead, I guess. What do they have, like 50 of those games? But generally speaking, there hasn't been a part 2. They usually just put out the game, and that's what the story is. Even if it's a multiplayer, obviously they build on that. But you guys already looking ahead and being hopeful.
Being hopeful, yes, we are being hopeful. We have not started anything. We're just being hopeful.
Absolutely.
But like I said, we end with enough open material that we could continue if we wanted to. But we're also in a world that allows us to do anything. Like we can just make an entire new. We can have new humans that fall victim to thinking that they can understand the configurations and the Cenobites. And then the Cenobites themselves, they have agendas, they have personalities, they have wants and desires. There's a lot there too. So it's so the world is so rich that it's a scary, terrifying playground to go have fun in. So again, yes, if the game is a big success, I would love to do more.
I'm glad that the interest is there on you guys, and that is amazing to hear. And and it's so easy too. Like you mentioned the box, just the general, even in the movies, like we can even point to those. It's easy to do. Someone finds the box, and you have a whole new story with a whole new set of characters, and it's that easy.
I mean, that's why I don't think people really get how clever and brilliant Clive is to make he made a great story with great characters, but then he made a universe that is just so big. I mean, that's so hard to do. I don't think people get it, how clever he is to make that universe and to just what you said. You can go this way, you can go that way, you can go any way, and that's hard to do. It's really hard to do.
Oh, it's very hard to do. And it's been we were joking earlier, Pinhead goes to space. I think most of the horror villains kind of get that time in their franchise, but it's still as iconic as a franchise as it is, It's so good that it allows missteps, which every franchise has, not to just say Hellraiser, every single one. It has to be that good for it to be able to survive those and still remain on the top shelf where Hellraiser is.
Yep, you're 100% correct.
Tim, we're so thankful for the time you've given us. I do have one more question though two more questions before we let you go. Is there a chance, and I know a release date hasn't been announced yet or anything like that, we're not looking.
We're still trying to figure that out ourselves. We just we got such a good response from Gamescom. Oh my Lord, the people that played it liked it. So the team's like, oh my God, we have a good game here. So we just need to polish it up, and just make it as good as we can and get it right. But so we are I'm not even lying. We're just we are literally don't know. But we're working as hard as we can to figure out when we're going to get done.
Okay, you know what though? That's a great answer and obviously I want the game now. I want to go into your office.
Me too.
I want to steal your Lament configuration box, and I want to play this game with you right now. But at the same time, as much as fans want it, the fact that you're taking the time and making sure everything's right is more important than anything else. And you could point to a million games that probably weren't ready to be released when they were released, and you run into all these problems, and you could have a great game that just never got the right chance because things weren't ready. And I love that you guys are taking that time and making sure it's right.
I mean, that's one of the great things about Saber. We our philosophy is to make sure it's good. To take the time that it needs. I mean, look at Space Marine 2. Yep. We took a little extra time on that, and you know what? No one cares because it's a great game and everyone loved it. So we want to make sure that we give it enough time.
Yeah, and as impatient as gaming fans are, that's what's most important. I feel like that gets lost sometimes with people, on Reddit and Twitter complaining that it's not out yet. It's like let it cook and let it be right, and you'll be happy that they took the time. Absolutely.
It's a game can only be late until it comes out, but a bad game is a bad game forever.
And that's the thing. We've seen, like I said, we've seen a lot of really good games that just had problems and people never gave it another chance, and they just fall to the wayside. And that is the last thing you ever want to happen with something you put so much work into.
Yes.
But Tim, this episode, we're talking in the future right now. So this episode is going to release the day before Halloween.
That's why I wore orange.
Look at you, professional.
See, I'm on brand.
Hell yeah. So what are some of your, this is a hard question for me too. Like, what are some of your go-to Halloween season movies that you go to every year or often around Halloween?
I'm a big Scream fan, which is, I know it's kind of silly.
Oh my God.
My daughter is like really into horror movies, so we've been watching everything recently. She's an adult, so I'm not a bad parent. Yeah, I mean, I like I kind of like the fantasy horror,
Okay.
more than just like torture porn. I like demons coming up, ghosts, Cenobites. I'm more into the supernatural horror than even though I said Scream first. But the
Can't get mad at Scream.
I know it's a guilty pleasure, but I'm more into supernatural horror.
Okay, nice. That's awesome to hear. Cass and I are insane Scream fans.
Oh, that's hilarious that I said that first.
Yeah. We have our co-host he's sick and dealing with a bunch of personal stuff right now, so he unfortunately wasn't able to make it today. But he gives us crap for how much we like Scream. So
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All great minds, right? Great minds think.
That's what I'm saying. But Tim, thank you so much for your time today, man. It's always a blast when we get to talk to you. Hopefully we can do it again in the future.
Yes.
Let everybody know where they can get in touch with you. If you want them to leave you alone, tell them that too. Everything, obviously Hellraiser Revival, everybody's already, you don't even need to tell them about that. Yes. They're already yelling at you. But yeah, yes. Let everybody know where they can get in touch with you, man.
I mean, again, I'm the world's easiest person to find. I'm like T Willits at everything, because my last name is quite unique. So I'm T Willits on Instagram and T Willits on Twitter, or just Tim Willits. I'm easy to find.
You are a very easy Google search.
Yes, I'm very easy to search. Yes.